Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Our Thread, the podcast, bringing our content to you. I'm All It Is, the extractor, joined with Doc, the point man, Cap, the forager, and Beware, the architect, also with Savage, the chemist. And today we bring you episode 19, Boys in the Hood versus Inception. Two movies that should infiltrate your minds with the power of cinema and extract our deepest emotions, bringing to the surface a understanding for two completely different stories. With Boys in the Hood, this might be a dream world to some, but for others, it's a reality that comes with struggles and hardships that some people still face every day. The movie Inception takes us out of our realities and brings us into the mind of Christopher Nolan, a progressive free thinker that often explores the future world that could come to be. But before we get into the matchup, let me give a special shout out to tonight's sponsor, Euro. Eero is a Wi-Fi router replacement system. If you're still dealing with lagging internet, especially with all these Zoom calls we're doing for work and virtual learning, the Eero is just what you need. Our thread member Savage has been using it for a few weeks now, and he quote unquote loves it so much. And my Eero is being shipped to me as we speak. Fast, reliable Wi-Fi. No more dead spots, no more buffering. Find the Eero on Amazon today. Folks, it's time to get into the matchup, but not before we hear that intro music by Beware. Go.
I can't help it. I love you.
Forrest, you don't know what love is.
I'm not going to debate you, Jerry. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and debate.
You're a bald-faced liar. A fucking liar.
I mean, God forbid they should make a mistake and forget to steal.
I will not apologize for what I want.
Stop trying to control everything and just let go.
I drink it up. Don't bully me.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
They're okay.
Either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood.
Hold on to your butts.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Our Thread podcast, bringing our content to you, featuring All It Is.
It's official, old buddy. Who has been.
Beware.
From then on, he was known as Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
The Doc.
You're the doc, Doc.
The Cap.
Oh, if you already know the answers to your questions, then why ask? Big fuck.
And myself, Savage.
I'm 6'5", 220, and there's two of me.
Homework's in. Let's begin. Our thread member Savage had not seen Boys in the Hood before. Savage, you know we love you, but our phone group thread got on your case pretty hard when you insinuated that you didn't think that this movie was necessarily great. Now, not seeing Boys in the Hood around the time it came out might be a reason, but I did think this movie aged well and that the acting was good and great in parts. Also, they achieved all of this with a pretty low budget. Savage, we're putting you on the spot. Talk about Boys in the Hood.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I feel like I went against one of my cardinal rules for the thread by even talking about a matchup beforehand. Just it was, I guess, more of like out of the need to make a kind of a joke that I thought was kind of funny about it, more so than actually voice my opinion. I think there's a lot of good emotional reactions and responses, and that's kind of why we do this thing and why we have our thread. We like going to the hat. We like taking our audience to the hat so you can get that real feedback from us. We like having a vote, and some of these votes, not recently, but the last, some of the episodes in the middle really had some tighter matchups where, it was like 3 votes for one movie, 2 votes for the other one that came down to a rubber match at the end. I think I need to not touch the third rail again. And I think we need to kind of keep it, and I'll be one of the voices of keeping it within the, actually in our thread as opposed to in our text message thread. Because I don't think it does us any good, because I think we come into the episode now thinking that I'm going to pan this movie and you guys are going to have all your rebuttals to whatever you think I'm going to say. And I think it maybe isn't the best way to go about it.
So last night, Doc and I, we actually put you under and we entered your brain, and we tried to give you the thought that Boys in the Hood actually is a great movie, but you had security set up, and all of a sudden Cap came running out, and Cap was strapped with guns, and he shot me in the foot and it hurt. And then Beware came in and shot me in the head to wake me up, so I didn't have to feel that pain, but it wasn't worth it. Trying to make my friends think the same things I do. I respect that. We have to be able to have different opinions.
He was a
Cap,
real charmer. He was a real charmer.
it seems that Savage may have insinuated once again that you might have shared the same opinion with him about this movie maybe not being great. Is that true, or what were your thoughts about Boys in the Hood?
Well, I would say that this movie is one that, and I can't say this for very many movies, maybe Goonies and like Howard the Duck or something, stuff that brings it back to my childhood. But you know, Boys in the Hood is a movie that I probably one of the first like serious traumatic movies I ever saw, having older brothers and an older sister, kind of seeing some movies that maybe, not that I shouldn't have seen it, but like, I don't know, I was probably 9 or 10 when I saw this movie for the first time. Yeah, it definitely it has that nostalgic effect on me. I think I remember saying to Savage before I watched Boys in the Hood that maybe this is one that isn't one of the greatest movies. I don't not think that it should be on the list. I think that it's better than some of the movies that I think did make the list. I definitely, after watching it, it got me. The movie got me at the end, and it definitely wasn't. I didn't have that feeling like I felt like I was watching it for the first time. I know pretty much everything that happens. There are definitely some scenes in that movie, watching it with fresh eyes, made me laugh, and some of the lines that are in there, I guess I'll save up for some quotables, but there's some killer lines in this movie. If I could say one bad thing, it's a big bad thing. I think Cuba Gooding Jr. is not good or not great in this movie. I think he was a young, really ambitious actor who just kind of ate up roles, and like certain period, like it's not like he did a horrible job, but like certain points of this movie he's like way over the top, and it just seems like funny at points. And I guess I'll get into more of that. All that being said, I really enjoyed watching Boys in the Hood, and I don't really have a new appreciation for it. I just sort of rekindled my affection for this movie.
Beware, did you own this movie on DVD?
Yeah, I definitely own this on VHS as well. We definitely watched this a lot growing up in high school, and it was definitely a movie because as a white kid growing up in suburbia, being entranced with rap music and hip hop, and that was just went side by side with the culture, the hip hop culture. I was watching this as soon as I found out about it, basically. And I really was kind of naive to most of it until watching it. And it's amazing how, 20 years later, I'm still naive to some of the things. And it definitely resonates a million times more now. And hits way harder, always hit hard. But it hit hard in obvious ways. Now it hits hard. Now every beat of that movie hits hard. And you realize, like, wow, there isn't a line wasted in the movie. There is not any sort of punches held. They really are ahead of their time in so many ways, because there hadn't been a movie made like that quite yet. And it kind of opened the door for, hood movies, if you will, to be able to just kind of give you exactly what's going on in the inner city to people like us that didn't really get that insight. And so it hit hard then. It hits way harder now because you really understand the ramifications of it. They're way more in our face than ever. And great movie, well executed across the board. And compared to Inception, it's quite a different movie, obviously, but they're both very detailed movies. You have to pay attention to both of the movies. I think Inception, definitely a bit more. It's a little bit more. Got to stick with it, every second of it to really follow along, and maybe rewind it a few times. Or it's not the case with Boys, but both of them in the weeds. You got to stick with them. they resonate more the more you watch them.
Yeah, man. I think this, Beware said it, but this movie, when speaking specifically about Boys in the Hood, is as poignant as ever. The themes still resonate really, really heavily and deeply today. And to kind of go off to what Beware was saying, this was a movie that I probably didn't see till maybe junior high, which just was eye-opening. And yeah, it's a movie, and yeah, it's dramatized a little bit, but man, it was kind of an education, and even within the movie is a lot of preaching and a lot of knowledge being dropped by Furious, and it's all real. It's a reality that I think we maybe weren't exposed to, but it was necessary for us to understand, and kind of helped probably shape our worldviews and our approach towards things, maybe that we don't fully understand, but it was impactful, not just for us, but I think this is a generational movie, a movie that came out in 1991, actually interestingly kind of predated by just a couple of months the Rodney King beating in Los Angeles, which is crazy. Wow. And kind of was kind of the backdrop, that with music from NWA and other happenings, but the backdrop for the kind of LA riots, and kind of was part of that piece, part of that period. And a movie like this had not been made before in Hollywood, and they had the Spike Lee joint, Do the Right Thing on the East Coast, and this was kind of the West Coast version of that, where it was a all black cast, all black, that cast in front of the camera, behind the camera. Director John Singleton is 23 years old in directing this movie, and we'll kind of talk more about that later. But yeah, just had a real great impact. Yeah, the acting isn't great, and I think I mentioned on the thread too. I think that Cuba is the perfect example of there's overacting, but it is what it is. And I think the one thing that actually kept throwing me off, and there's not a good point to bring this up, so I'll just bring it up now. But the background music, if it wasn't part of a soundtrack or a hot track during that day, the background music was really corny, and that was distracting at times. But otherwise, I felt like the acting and the moments and the emotion and the story and everything definitely belongs on this thread, and definitely belongs as a story to be told. Now, contrasting that with a movie that you're facing reality in this movie. It's maybe a different reality than you're used to, but it's a reality for the majority of Americans, compared to what we watched, compared it against, which is Inception, which was this kind of alternate reality. This Boys in the Hood was very sobering, whereas Inception was more kind of disorienting. In Inception, if you get killed, you wake up, whereas in Boys in the Hood, you get killed, you're just another statistic. And as Doughboy said, his brother didn't even make the news, kind of thing. And it's just these stark contrasts in these types of movies. But I will say, Inception, Sweet Amy and I watched it the other night, and it was a fun ass ride, man. And the special effects are incredible. Like Beware mentioned, we had to rewind it a couple times to be wait, what's going on, and to keep track of what level we were on. But it was fun, and it's a fun playground that Christopher Nolan kind of created to tell a story, and a heist story. But overall, it's just a fun movie, and it's a very different take on any type of storytelling that I've ever seen before.
Watching Inception, I had the idea in my head to pick on it because you have heard through memes and other, South Park and all these things we might get into, that people kind of said this movie is just confusing to be confusing. That being said, I think when you do let it digest and you actually just watch it for fun, I was having flashbacks of seeing it in the movie theater and just being so blown away by it, because even if you don't know exactly what's going on, Christopher Nolan's going to do his thing and wow you. And it really does put you into a place where this movie belongs on our list, even if it doesn't make any sense. I think we can make it make some sense. I think you can also pick it apart to kind of be a little loaded, if you will. Going into characters, I want to talk about how we're talking about the acting in Boys in the Hood not being great, because one of my favorite actors, and I think my favorite character for this week, is going to be Ice Cube. And he was vulnerable in the beginning of this film. You could see that he was just learning how to act, if you will. And by the end of the movie, when his brother, Ricky, dies, you see Ice Cube on the porch about to start a long lasting career that he's going to have an impact on. And you can see him almost contemplating that. I get this acting thing now. Just like you write your first rap, each one you write after that is going to get better and better. And he entered the acting world quickly. and he never left. And he's still to this day, even though he's more of a family man. What a full transition he's made. But really, it is all about seeing the vulnerability in Ice Cube, but also like knowing him as like an idol or somebody we looked up to, a rapper, and like that was so cool. And Snoop Dogg has not done this, even though he's been in movies. This is like a solid actor that's had many, many roles. And it all started from this movie right here. And that also, too, is probably one of my favorite scenes. I'll give a nod to the other one, is when he actually is just, his brother just died and he's just walking down the street in another day and just trying to pick himself up and just down on his luck and stuck in the same spot. And I felt that. So that's going to be my favorite character this week. And I don't want to give my favorite character Inception because I don't want to steal anybody's shine. If for some reason they don't get mentioned, I'm going to fall back on my Inception favorite character.
I watched the movie yesterday, and I guess maybe I could see it for the kids at the beginning just because they're kids. That's how that always comes across. Like I liked Cuba Gooding. His character Trey comes across as the guy, the outsider guy that everybody just digs, and you can kind of tell he's playing the relationships appropriately, and people are leaning on him because they know that he carries a little bit more maturity with them. And I think that he doesn't necessarily he plays it.
That's his character, though. That's his character. His character is good. And I wasn't saying that all of the like his bad acting throughout the movie, but there are parts, and I can be more specific, where he goes, what if I'm not, like, through his eyebrows, what if I'm not ready for all that yet? And he's talking about having sex with his girlfriend, and I'm like, is that intentional, or is he just showing off his acting chops, or is that like an 18-year-old just being too dramatic? I doubt that they were like being intentional about that to the point where it was like almost funny.
I think they were. I think he has to put on, I think it's kind of part of the character and who he has to be. He has to put on this it's
almost like he's acting for his friends sometimes in real life. Like it's almost like he doesn't care that much or something. I don't know.
So with Cuba, I'll agree that the scenes that I didn't like with him were the scenes with, was it Brandy, his girlfriend? I feel like that's where he was over, like especially the parts where he's on the stairs and he's kind of getting all like he's moving his head all around and kind of getting all like sassy with her. Those were the scenes I was like, I don't know. But then like you see him with like some.
This is like what I'm most excited to talk about. So if we can just kind of stay on this, and I'm sorry, there's a couple of parts that are really sticking out in my head that killed me. The part where his dad cuts his hair.
Yes.
And they have the conversation about the sex, and he just has this whole story lined up to tell his dad with a whole fantasy that turns out not being true. One, that's really funny. Like his grandma smells the sex in the air. But his dad, before that, Lawrence Fishburne, he just stands up, and it's weird. It's almost like they're flirting with each other, because he like grabs him he's got his like tight white t-shirt on and his like slacks on with his shirt tucked in. His dad grabs him by like his belt buckle and like pulls him forward and smells him. Hey, you get some pussy yet? And he's just like, oh my God, it just killed me.
The father-son dynamic might be as good as any other great film. They're
It's not that it was poorly done. It's just that it fucking made me laugh so hard. First of all, I would agree that like I thought Ice Cube was great, really great. Definitely got the look, man. He had the fucking just the whole look and his whole attitude. The whole movie was on point for me. Sorry, Beware. Continue.
Well, Furious Styles. Furious Styles is maybe the best named character of any movie for sure. Second of all, no, I do think Trey's one of the best characters, and I just think he's a good influence on his friends. I like how that comes across. I like how it's, he's got his own unique lane and niche in the neighborhood, and people know him and respect him. And yet he's still, even though sometimes he's an outsider, especially right at the beginning, he goes up and he gives everybody daps. He's really respectful of everybody, and it's a two-way street. And I just think that's cool. I really like the scene too where he after he gets pulled over by the cops for the second time as the adult, and the cop, the Uncle Tom cop, puts the gun up to his head, and basically threatens him, gets his rocks off because of it. Super pertinent.
Yeah, another reality too that we can't even like touch on. We can't speak on it even. Like we don't know shit.
But powerful though, and that the fact that we really can't even understand it at all. The fact that he still comes in and just nails that performance, the shadow boxing. That's the one that while the relationship scenes with him are definitely off, and he can't get laid as a result of it, right? And ironically enough, when he's pure and when he's not bullshitting, in my opinion, kind of stealing the movie with that scene. And he finally ends up getting play after putting all these shenanigans up, walking away from the girl at the picnic, doing all this BS, lying to his dad, making these stories up. But in all reality, he just needs to be himself the whole time, and that's what makes
pretty good sex scene too. You got to say, sex scenes sometimes in movies, they were like, honestly, like every movie had to have a sex scene for a while. They kind of broke that rule. I thought it was a pretty good sex scene.
I agreed. It was well done. I was actually kind of surprised. I was like, these kids are in high school. This is odd. There's a little tit going on, but
hey Ben, what did you think about Teenage Tit? Did you have a problem with it this time?
This
was genuine. This was consensual.
Appropriate.
Very consensual, Cap.
Creep. It wasn't driven by a creep, but beyond that, right. I like Trey, and I guess I will put him as my favorite character of all the movies, because I think he was the one that stood out to me the most, and then maybe the character that I thought about the most, even if he did have a few hiccups along the way, I suppose, because I do see what you're saying.
I want to spend a little bit more time talking about Boyz n the Hood. Honestly, like I loved, obviously, Doughboy, his acting performance. He jumped off the screen in terms of kind of his acting, and his persona and his presence is palpable. Cuba, like, I think his acting is variable based on his scenes. Like, I actually love, one of my favorite scenes with Cuba is Cuba when he's on the couch on the phone talking to his girlfriend. You can tell he's acting like really young, and I don't want to pass message. I don't know. I love that performance for some reason.
No, I'm just kidding. Why you hanging around them in the car? Who this? Oh, hi, Mama.
Who dis? What kind of way is that to answer the phone?
I'm sorry, Mama.
Let me speak to your daddy.
Pop! Telephone!
Who this? Hey, how you doing?
That stood out to me too, because he's like in his sweatpants, and he's like hornily like shifting around the couch.
Yeah. So you gonna give me them skins or what?
Yeah.
So I love that. But I will have to say, so this is like a coming of age, movie for Trey, and he is kind of the main character. But within this, in this story, his dad, Furious, man, is like the sage, kind of with the wisdom and dropping the knowledge and the good influence. And to me, he was my favorite character. And I thought that, as he's billed in the movie, Larry Fishburne. I don't know if you guys caught that, which I love that. But like that role to me is pivotal in this movie. So John Singleton talks about this movie and talks about what he was trying to portray. And basically he talks about how there's a whole generation of Black men that don't respect themselves, which makes it hard for them to which makes it easy for them to shoot each other. And this is probably because, they don't have father figures and they're looking for their manhood. And so like, this is having this Lawrence Fishburne character, this dad, this kind of steady figure, this guy who's teaching his son responsibilities, this guy who has a steady job, is this kind of presence in Trey's life that Trey needs to kind of help, get shaped and to see kind of the right path that he needs to go down, and kind of, what his options are and how to do that. And when faced with critical situations where you're kind of at that fork in the road, and if you're going to go right, that means you're likely going to go down, lead a life this way, and if you go left, you're going to lead a life this way. And his father's there to kind of help coach him, through those situations and help him make the right decisions.
What about that billboard scene, Doc? We got like that's pretty profound scene right there, where he really is teaching not only his son, the whole youth in the whole neighborhood, the whole community. Right. That's pretty profound.
Honestly, that blew my mind. Is when I remember watching that and being like, what, not getting that at all, initial couple times, but like watching it recently, and I actually watched this movie twice, this rotation, and that whole scene about gentrification and like is mind blowing, and it's still true today. But it was like he's dropping knowledge, and it's just so good. And so I gotta go with Lawrence Fishburne or Furious Styles. Larry. One of the things too that I want to mention is, so it's crazy how he got the part for this role. So John Singleton worked as a security guard when he was 19 years old on the set of Pee-wee's Playhouse, and that's how he met Lawrence Fishburne. What was he, Will? The
Cowboy Curtis.
Right. And that's how we met him. And as a security guard, we'd always talk to Lawrence Fishburne saying, hey, I'm going to write a movie script one day, and I'm going to put you in it. And so, fast forward, really, it's only 4 years later, because, he was 23 years old, we put it together. But, made good on that promise. And I thought Lawrence Fishburne nailed this role and played it perfectly. Yeah.
So we have a sweep so far with best characters being from Boyz n the Hood, me, Beware, and Doc. Let's go to Cap. Cap, who was your favorite character?
I can't really pick a different character just for the sake of picking somebody different. I think Doughboy's my favorite character. Like I said, Ice Cube did a great job performance-wise, and I think they did a great job with his look. What fascinates me most about his character is his relationship with his brother and his mother. You see right from the beginning. Oh, and I thought the kid at Doughboy was really good too.
I just said that.
He was great. Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out too.
I love that he went and stepped up for him with the football and just willingly got his ass kicked.
Favorite.
She might be your wife, but I stick my ding-a-ling in her every night, so that makes her mine. I've used that argument since I was 11 years old.
Damn.
So some good quotes. I almost feel like he is. It's like, yeah, Cuba Gooding's the big name actor in that movie, but it's like he, to me, is the star of the movie because he goes through the most hardship. His character and his mother, I feel like he sort of develops. You can kind of see his hostility just towards women in general, even if it is, joking, but like he's always just kind of writing off women when he's talking to his friends, on the porch when they're talking about where to meet women and like meeting women at school or church or this or that. But I just think it's kind of like his character kind of breaks my heart just because he's like this tough, funny, logical person, accepts and understands the fact that he's not the favorite to a certain extent, but I think it's like really deep down, it's the sadness that he carries around. But you can tell that he loves his brother and his friends more than anything. You just see his character sort of like maybe just get jealous. It's like you're seeing his brother like going off and doing great things, and he's worked his whole life and so hard. And like,
what about the contrast though of him having the street smarts and having some knowledge that his brother needs, and Ricky having the ticket being, that he's good at sports and stuff like that.
Exactly. It's like he's protector.
Yeah, right. And they both are the good son. It's just the way it's portrayed is very honest, and I'm sure it's a wonderful choice for a character, just because he does have a great contrast to what is actually being explained here. No son was better.
Ricky's a dumbass. And Doughboy is kind of like a genius, and it works against both of them.
I'd like to hear if somebody has, if maybe Savage has a favorite character from Inception.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't want to. I could wax poetic about the pluses and minuses for both these movies, and I don't know if it would necessarily fit within the confines of like what we're talking about specifically as far as like the categories. So if I want to talk about like my favorite character, it's gonna because I don't really love any of the characters from that haven't been said before. I feel like I could probably say Furious Styles, but I feel like that's kind of would be doing it. And anytime I can spit some Pee-wee's Playhouse knowledge, it's a pretty good day for me. But my favorite character is going to be the special effects from Inception. I don't think you have Inception without that
The
quote unquote.
character
I
of
feel
the dream
if
world.
I'll let you
I'd
get
have
away
said
with
that
it.
if I would have thought of it.
We've mentioned it. We've always mentioned other characters. Beware said the New York was a character in Taxi Driver. I like that, Savage.
So yeah, I feel like you have just maybe a confusing, less visually appealing movie if you don't have those VFX.
Without this character of special effects, this movie's not good.
Right. It's not. It's like straight up a not good movie.
You almost and you
my
need
opinion.
this. You need the audience to buy into the special effects, to buy into the wildness of
what you're
story.
watching.
Yeah.
I mean, the city folding in on itself. I don't know if there's a cooler effect.
Cool.
I don't know if that. I mean, like that's when I think of the movie. I think of the chair thing, and I think of the city folding, and
when I think of like big
awesome
grandiose things like that, I think about Interstellar and that giant wave on that other planet, things that. It's like
I think Savage is yelling at us from limbo right now with his new Eero. His internet is just blasting, and he's screaming at us with his new headset, and he's trying to get out of limbo.
He's trying Inception just by blasting the ideas in our eardrums.
Would you guys be down with a little limbo trip? What would it be like 15 hours in the dream world for a 50-year guy trip?
Guys,
you guys down with that?
That'd be fun. We could do that.
Can we do it? 50 years, come back.
My mind would turn into scrambled eggs.
And that would become my reality.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
true.
Adam and I would be standing on some window ledges, perhaps buildings across from each other.
Dropping my shoe. Come on.
No.
Hey, it's real quick about the special effects. So what's awesome about the visual effects in Inception, most of them are these the Penrose stairs, the rotating hallway, the mountain avalanche, the zero gravity sequences are done with practical effects. So very little computer animated. And so that's really impressive. And I think that also helps to sell the reality or the feeling of it. Especially this was 10 years ago or about 10 years ago.
Yeah, 2010
for effects, man.
And I don't just silo special effects into like being like CGI also. So like I feel like having a look and having like just the look and feel of like the visual nature of that movie, maybe more so than like just liking the special effects, because that movie looks super cool. Like
it was the music was super cool too in the theater.
Oh yeah, it's loud. That's a loud movie.
Like fucking loud. Yeah.
Well, it's Zimmerman again though, but there is a song that he's scoring from. It's a old French song by Edith Piaf.
Is that the song that they bring as the signal before they bring them back?
Yes, it's a long song, and it goes. I guess it goes the length of the movie. It's a very the song is a long composition or something like that.
Yeah, and Hans Zimmer wrote he used that as kind of like the foundation for the score of the movie. So it was, I think the actual score of the movie is that like pitch down and slow down. So it's that melody,
that's
but
very
it's just
cool.
So it's kind of he definitely pulls it off of that song.
And it seems like this is like Christopher Nolan's ode to a lot of movies that he liked, and he's telling a story that doesn't have to make sense because it's an ode to cinema, if you will, too, and the things you can do, and about how, like they say, being in watching a movie is honestly the closest thing we have to experiencing a dream. We'd have to confirm facts with Doc, but like this is discussed and talked about, that the way our brain activities when we watch a movie is very much like a dream state, and Christopher Nolan was very aware of that, and he played off that. He wanted to make us feel like we're in a dream.
Interesting.
We got to move into talking about scenes, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot from both movies to talk about. Inception having that special effect character in those scenes most likely would be the case, but also man, we didn't talk about Tom Hardy yet. And
Eames.
Tom Hardy's character Eames.
Tell me why you like that character so much, because I almost feel like that kind of gets by me a little bit. It's almost like I feel like his character was smaller than Joseph Gordon-Levitt's.
That's a very good point.
The other co-stars.
Well, Cap, I know he's one of your favorite actors, and I just feel like he stood tall, kind of played his part with mannerisms, very slow. He's also a part of some very good special or dope action scenes where he's on the skis shooting backwards. The way he talked, I really thought he showed that he should be the next James Bond. That's who he has full capability of doing that. And I really like him. He's in front of Leo. He's in front of all these, bigger actors, and he kind of like plays modestly. He's strong. He's strong.
Tom Hardy as the next James Bond is actually a pretty good.
I just wanted to give you that nod before I go to scenes. And I have a favorite scene in Inception, but it's the most typical scene. And I don't think anybody's necessarily going to say it. So I'm just going to say the hotel scene is sweet. They're tilting. We're all over the place. That it's fucking awesome. If you're not enjoying that, then you're not like enjoying Inception. But I'm going to go from my favorite scene of both movies, Boyz n the Hood, and R.I.P. man, when Ricky dies and they bring him back to the house, man, that, we've come off of a lot of gut wrenching, heartfelt scenes, Mystic River, a lot of things that really hit the soft spots in you, and unfathomably too, like you just can't comprehend it. The little baby crying in that scene when Ricky's dead, bleeding on the couch, and his girlfriend that comes in and just gives out a scream. And if that
scream was
man,
amazing, blood curdling.
There you go, man.
That scene is excellent. The reaction from the mom, oh my god, and how she takes it out on Doughboy. Oh my god,
right there.
How bad would you feel? He was like just finally like she was hugging him, and I think that like you see that feels good for him, that he's able, he's trying to like console his mother, and he sees it as an opportunity to like maybe I think he's just starved for affection from his mom, and he goes to give her a hug, and then she realizes that they got into this fight. So she starts hitting him and saying it was him. It's like, oh, that hurts so bad.
Man, there's some psychology that doesn't get discussed. It's up for interpretation in this movie.
I think so too. Yeah,
it's very deep.
So what does he? What does he do? Is he takes that anger and just goes and seeks vengeance like immediately.
Which is not uncharacteristic of him, because we see him being the protector, like we talked about earlier. So it makes sense, like it all just wraps together perfectly. Something I want to say about that scene and about Boyz n the Hood in general. Boyz n the Hood, and I know you guys noticed this, but like there's a constant background noise, whether it's helicopters, police sirens, babies crying. Hold on, I made a list of all the things.
But they're zooming in on the stop sign. All those noises. Yeah.
Dogs barking, gunshots, bass from cars squealing. So the fact that that they play, that's basically throughout the movie, and it's supposed to make you kind of feel uncomfortable and like on high alert. But the fact that you can still come to that scene that we're talking about now, and they're screaming and crying and like, and have that impact after you've kind of just been inundated with all this kind of noise and habituated to all that noise, to still have that level of emotional impact, and the sound and the scenes is incredible. Like it transcends or ascends beyond even the annoying sounds that we've already been hearing throughout the movie. And it's really powerful. Really powerful. The whole point too, where Doughboy comes in, give me the baby. He doesn't need to see this. Like that kills me, man.
Can I say one thing about? I agree with everything that's been said, and it fucking got me so hard too when I was watching it, as it typically does. But Ricky, what the fuck are you doing taking a piss, bro? What are you doing? Take it seriously. Everybody's taking it seriously, and I think that's kind of
didn't have the street smarts, man.
And he always needed Doughboy to look out after him. I'll go off just because we're kind of talking about the Doughboy Ricky kind of like dynamic. One of my favorite scenes, and it kind of got brought up earlier, but is that when they're kids, and again, it kind of shows his protector role that he had. I told you not to bring that ball, man. Ricky brings the ball, football, throwing it around, and gets it kind of taken by the older kids. And seeing him try to fight this guy that's much bigger and much more of a badass than he is, get his ass kicked, but the fact that he was willing to do that, you know, in that protector role. And then, you know, the scene, like, this crushed me, and just thinking about it, where it's the big dude with the ball, but obviously this guy is more, you know, more in touch with his kind of like, come on, man, he give the little guy's ball back, you know, kind of like.
Yo, Rob, give me the ball. Give me the fucking ball. Hey! Hey, little man! Catch!
And you see Ricky looking back with that look on his face after all of them walking away, and like that, man, it's just I feel like I've been there as a kid. I feel like everybody's been there as a kid. Like, oh man, like, and then Doughboy says he doesn't want your ball, man. His daddy gave him that ball, and then it's like, oh, kind of, you know, even more you kind of realize how important that is to him.
Hey, another Ricky regret is, why didn't he catch that pass?
Yes,
is that a sign for what's to come? Why didn't he catch that pass?
That's why he's a running back.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
But that's one of my favorite scenes, and I got a couple more, but I don't want to steal anybody's.
There's a handful that I could also bring up, and you know, this is I wouldn't even have thought this would have been it, but this scene just felt so pure and so, I don't know, man. But when Furious and Trey are sitting on after that scene, after the football scene that we were just talking about with the kids, they go back and Trey goes and he's skipping stones on the water.
Yes.
With his dad, and they're just talking about sex, and he's having like parental lessons. It's just father and son time, giving lessons, and they're just joking. They're having like really pure, genuine time. And then he comes back, and then they're after the scene. He's going back, and Blue Child comes on the radio, and they're singing. I love this song. I love this song.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, listen to this song. I love this song.
And then it just overlays as you see Doughboy getting arrested because he doesn't have parents, or he doesn't have a dad. He just has his mom, and his mom can't handle these kids. And, you know, especially him, obviously. And you know, he says, I'm going to get food regardless. You know, he's planning on stealing. Like, he doesn't even care. And Trey's just has the dad to be able to keep him in check. And that obviously resonates throughout the whole movie. But
got to talk about the 3 rules that to be a man. What is it? Always look a person in the eye. Never be afraid to ask for anything. Stealing is not necessary. Number 3. Last one is never respect someone who doesn't respect you back. How about that?
Yeah, amen. Amen. Honestly, that just, especially the third one. I just really love those scenes. I just think that they mean a lot, and they go out of their way. The movie in general, Boys in the Hood, I can see where people would say it's a little too on the nose, as I believe the term goes. Like, it's very straightforward and very forthcoming, and it's meant to be. You know what I mean?
I think if anything is necessarily on the nose, it's a movie like that, because I think on the nose reaches more people. So
yeah, exactly. Like they very blatantly start the movie with stop. Like it's so obvious. It couldn't be more obvious. And at the end of the movie, it's increase the peace. Like it's obvious to be obvious. And scenes like that, you know, feel like back in the day, I feel like when I watched it as an 18-year-old, I was like, this scene's kind of cheesy, you know, but like, it's not cheesy at all. And it's just, it meant a lot watching.
I don't think that stop sign, I think it was just random. I don't think that had any meaning to it.
Yeah, cries wolf, baby. Just before we pass it to Cap for his favorite scene, we have to attach a quotable to Beware's favorite scene. What do you know about sex?
I know a little bit.
Oh yeah? What little bit is that?
I know. I take a girl, stick my thing in her, and 9 months later, a baby comes out.
You think that's it?
Basically, yeah. We'll dub that in.
I love that. Well, but the best, one of my favorites is right after that, what he says. He goes, anybody can make a baby, but it takes a real man to raise a child.
Church. All right, Cap, hit us with your favorite scene.
Any fool with a dick can.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's an important correction.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, scenes. I'll just real quick. Savage brought up the scene where the city folds in on itself. I just think the whole scene where she goes into having her first streaming experience is pretty awesome, because it almost reminded me of the first time Morpheus takes Neo into the Matrix, and they're kind of in the training program. It's an experiment. So for the viewer, that's really satisfying.
Hey,
to,
just so you know, Cap, Christopher Nolan loves that movie, and he was paying respect to that movie in lots of parts in Inception. And from what my research, he really.
Oh, that's
likes the
interesting.
movie.
I never knew that.
An ode to film, I'd said.
Yeah.
Keep on going, Cap.
In Inception, I get a little burnt out on the storyline throughout the movie, but like Savage said, the character of the special effects really kind of keeps you in it. So there's other cooler parts, I guess, but I guess they kind of try to blow your mind a little bit with that scene. I'd like to point out a favorite scene from Boyz in the Hood. I think that the whole scene where they're sitting on the porch talking about women and where to meet women while Ricky's having his interview, I think is an important scene, because I think it's like, this professional person comes into their neighborhood at night and is trying to find their house, and they kind of like talk about wanting a scholarship too as he's passing by, and Doughboy is pretty adamant about leave this guy alone. He's here. He's a professional person. He's not here to talk to you. But then that gets in this whole conversation talking about like where to meet women. And I just think that scene is funny and just kind of telling of like each of those characters, those smaller characters. I can't remember their names. The guy in the wheelchair and the guy that
Little Chris.
the guy that thinks he's gonna get AIDS from letting him suck on his dick. So yeah, but like the more importantly, I think that the scene taking place with Ricky and the recruiter is good and interesting, and I think that it was kind of a little bit of a reality check for him.
One point, the scene about AIDS is not thought of how profound that is, just because it's kind of brushed over, but how important that was to like be able to ask your friends things, and a topic that's a serious thing, a life killer, and not knowing something. So he got bullied in a way, but also learned the lesson of like, dog, you got to be careful, but like was kind of shunned, and it was an embarrassing thing. It's a crazy topic, probably something that went over all of our heads the first time we watched
That's
it.
a great point, man. I actually didn't think of that. Like, in what is kind of a throwaway line where you think it's just another way to kind of dog on somebody and have a laugh. Like, you're right. Like, this is actually probably dropping knowledge to all people that might be watching this movie of like, oh shit, you can get AIDS. It's not just through that, like, and making it like real. And it is, again, educating people, and it's a throwaway line almost.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to touch on what Beware was talking about too, about Boyz in the Hood being too on the nose. I think that probably is the case, just because I think this movie is probably one of the first movies of this kind of storytelling, showing like this segment of America, and everything that's come after it seems kind of like derivative of that. Like we wouldn't have had like Menace to Society or Juice or The Wire or Training Day or a lot of other movies and pop culture references without having this movie. And I feel like it probably is too on the nose, because it was like kind of like the start, the genesis of this kind of like talk and this kind of like showing. And it kind of goes really strongly with one of my favorite scenes too. Just because I can almost guarantee, I didn't look this up or anything, but I can almost guarantee the word gentrification had never been used before this movie and film, at least in a pop cultural reference. And it seems like for, what is it, 91? Like for that's been a topic. I mean, that's going on like 30 years at least, where it's been brought to like the public consciousness. I think it's pretty important, and I really do like that scene not only for what the scene represents and like discussing and not, I don't want to say lecturing or soapboxing what gentrification is to the townsfolk that are kind of like wandering by, but just like it's a cool scene to have him actually kind of explain something, drop some little knowledge nuggets to some of the folks.
Profound, man. The word that keeps coming to my mind.
Come on. Why don't y'all take a look at that sign up there? See what it says? Cash for your home. You know what that is? It's billboard. What are y'all, Amos and Andy? Are you stepping and he's fetching? I'm talking about the message, what it stands for. It's called gentrification. It's what happens when the property value of a certain area is brought down. Huh? You listening? Yeah. They bring the property value down. They can buy the land at a lower price. Then they move all the people out, raise the property value, and sell it at a profit. Now what we need to do is we need to keep everything in our neighborhood, everything, black. Black owned with black money. Just like the Jews, the Italians, the Mexicans, and the Koreans do.
Ain't nobody from outside bringing down the property value.
Can we touch on one point?
It's these folks.
Real quick while I'm thinking of it. Let's talk about how much Trey's mom came up in 7 years when they show her in her fucking apartment.
Hey,
you guys notice that?
Yeah,
you notice how awesome her apartment is? It's like a high rise and it's huge, super dope, and like it's like interior decorated and shit. And like
the chairs that she had in the background are they're called like Wasley chairs, and they're really expensive. They're really high end, and basically it's like a status thing. And so like it was purposely put in there, and yeah, like falling.
She's doing great. She got her master's.
Can we also say that's like peak Angela Bassett, like dime piece? Dime piece. Quick question. The top, does it fall at the end or what? To me, it looked like it was toppling a little bit at the end. I think he's good.
That's the ultimate question. It really is. I think it's is the whole thing. It's a classic ode to film, classic ending where you're frustrated. It's up to the viewer. Not often is it up to the viewer to decide what happens. So we could take a vote on it if you think that it topples or doesn't. I'm pro topple. I think it toppled. Yeah.
Pro top.
Topped.
Pro top.
I don't care.
Pro top.
I'm not casting a vote.
So Christopher Nolan is on record saying that yes, it toppled, but one of the reasons that they cut away too is to show that Leo isn't, or that
he doesn't care
or whatever. He doesn't care. Yeah.
Right on.
And he's beyond that.
Exactly. Also don't care.
Let's Cap.
By the end of that movie, I don't care
let's
whether it's a dream or not.
Well, it's a dream within a dream within a dream.
Speaking of dreams, something that another quick fact about this movie is that the first letters of the main characters' names, Dom, Robert, Eames, Arthur, Maul, and Saito.
Dreams. I've seen that. If you do go watch the videos like Inception Explained and all that, they're really insightful. You can really get a lot out of it. Like he is clearly doing a lot more than just special effect tricks. He's doing what all great directors do, some Stanley Kubrick-esque shit, if you will. But let's do some quotables, and I'm sure I'm going to skip one because all I got to say is listen to that intro music by Beware at the beginning and end of the show, and you get a great one by Ice Cube.
Before we move out of scenes, can we actually talk about the scene with where that quote comes from? Basically, that whole scene, the whole dialogue where it's after Doughboy, and his crew kind of track down. It's actually where Trey makes the decision to kind of get out of the car, let me out. And they get them, and it's the morning after. It's super early, and Doughboy even alludes to that, saying, I haven't been up this early. But, it's right after it's like the most sober we see Doughboy. Like throughout the movie, Doughboy's pretty loose, pretty gangster, kind of just living that life. And this is the moment where you see him. He's lacking sleep. He's kind of self-reflecting. And he's kind of opening up to Trey, not in front. And this is probably the first time we see Doughboy not in front of all of his boys too. So he's kind of more open and kind of breaking it down. But there's parts in that scene that are really kind of touching, where he says like, I ain't got no brother no more. And there's like a pause, and he goes, got no mother either. And kind of they talk about like, he says, did you get them all? And he said, I don't even know how I feel about it neither. Next thing you know, someone might try to smoke me. And he says, seems like they punched the wrong clock on Rick though. And then kind of they get up, and it's kind of a weird, awkward ending. He's about to walk back over to his house, and Cuba gets up, or Trey gets up and says, "Hey, you still got one brother left, man." And I don't know, like I like that they have that in there. I like that the focus wasn't this build up to this killing or this hunting down and that sort of thing. It was this kind of reflection afterwards, and where like, yeah, we killed these guys, we revenged the death, but did we? Like, what do we, like, I don't feel good about it. I don't feel any different. I still feel whatever. And that's, again, one of the major themes of the movie of like, reject violence, resist revenge, and go to school, basically.
That early morning scene actually reminded me of Mystic River at the end, where, it's like early morning, they're drinking, one of them's drinking, and they're talking about like somebody died the day before. And it's like an early morning thing where you're having this philosophical conversation at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Can I make a point to that's also a callback to a beginning in the movie, because there's a scene where, first of all, shout out Regina King. Regina King's excellent in this movie as like kind of like the tomboy girl that doesn't give a fuck in the girl crew, and just she's pounding 40s, she's riding shotgun with everybody. She's
better take your ass to the stove with that.
But she's great. But she says a line in the earlier movie. She says, like at the barbecue, which is an excellent scene, she says something along the lines of, they all try to be brothers. They all think they're brothers. And it's kind of like she doesn't take that seriously. And like the story lets you see why she says that and why that's actually a true thing. It's because for certain people, they don't have anything else besides these faux brothers. They have a brother, but then the next day they don't. So it's like they have to create these bonds with these the people across the street, if you will.
I think the worst thing about Boyz n the Hood and what I could have done without is the write-up about what happened to the characters at the end. I thought that was just in poor taste. Like,
would you have preferred it? And I honestly ask, like, would you have preferred it if like you just kind of assumed those were the things that happened? Because
absolutely. Sorry.
The music is coming in. We know that we're about to wake up from the dream.
Did I just dream that whole episode? What were we just talking about? Sorry.
That end scene. And I will say, like, about maybe how corny or maybe unnecessary, like that kind of like, here's what happens, afterwards.
I just think it's like a 23-year-old director making a mistake. So
Sure. And so the reason he did that, actually, that's again paying homage to one of John Singleton's favorite movies was Stand By Me. There's a couple.
I thought that, man. I was thinking that this movie seemed a lot of things kind of remind. I probably screamed that when I said that initially. I apologize, but I feel like
scared me.
I feel like with having the want to see a dead body thing too. And I was thinking that kind of like the whole time. I was just thinking that just now, and then when you were saying like the end scene about like what develops after the movie's over, that's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up.
So that's where it comes from, part of it. But to Beware's point, I think that helps to solidify the themes of the movie. Like,
sure.
So I was going to save this for the conclusion, but I feel like there's three paths that this movie kind of is laying out that one can go down. One is like, you can be the talented, athletic entertainer to kind of, get out the hood or kind of be successful. You can stick to the street and, kind of live that by the gun, die by the gun type of thing. Or you can get educated, and you can work hard and you can, challenge yourself and, get out that.
Or just be like a positive influence in your community. Yes. Like Lawrence Fishburne, it's like he didn't move out of the hood. Yep. He didn't move.
So I feel like those ends kind of things kind of solidify, one, the kind of live by the gun, die by the gun, and then it also solidifies the education kind of aspect of the movie. You're
right. It does drive that point home, and it's not surprising to see it at the end. Whenever I see that, I'm like, nah.
Let's toss around some quotables. Who's got some quotables from these movies?
I ain't from Africa. I'm from Crenshaw Mafia.
The African booty scratcher.
Oh,
Damn, your daddy mean. He worse than the boogeyman. He got you doing all these leaves. Who you think you is? Kuta Kente?
Hilarious. This fool got more comic books than a motherfucker.
Hey, are we naming all the same kid?
And I will say one of my favorite that I'll probably use is Furious. How you doing? I'm living. That's enough for me.
Oh man, I have one that I'm definitely gonna use too. Is, you know, Trey, you know you're a prince, right? You're a prince, and I'm the king. The king says, "Go and clean your room" or whatever. I love that. It's like giving him
Damn,
props.
why does Beware's Lawrence Fishburne impersonation sound spot on, dude? Like, well, you got that monotone voice for it. Dang, dog.
This is adult Doughboy. Let me knock the stuffing off that Egg McMuffin. That killed me.
I think Doughboy's walking out of the house and he's calling some folks on the porch saying, calling them, "You Tecmo Bowl playing motherfuckers." That was a pretty good line.
I love that.
We've literally just named a bunch of quotes from, you know, we're realizing this movie is great, man.
Yeah.
There is no doubt that this is what makes movies great. So many quotables, so many things. Can we give Inception any light on quotables? I'll come back for you.
Yeah, the only one that I have.
Good night.
I'll come back for you, I promise.
To be here.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey.
Are you okay, man? I think, what is that? Is that like the most friendship thing? You all right, man?
I do have a quote, which is perfectly appropriate, actually. Wait, so whose subconscious are we breaking into? I feel like.
So
wait a second.
Beware. That's Ellen Page. Ellen Page, her character Adriana or whatever, only asks questions the whole movie.
That's
all she does. All she does is ask questions.
Are you sure this
is a good
idea?
Who are the people?
Projections in my subconscious.
Yours?
Yes. Remember, you are the dreamer. You build this world.
How else do you do it?
By creating something secure like a bank vault or a jail. The mind automatically fills it with information it's trying to protect. Understand?
Then you
so what you're saying is?
Oh man, the architect, Ellen Page.
Did you tell them about how you're...
Yeah, Adam, you and I were just saying the same thing, basically.
It is kind of corny too, man. We talked about corniness with Boys in the Hood, but there's corniness in Inception too, man. This is a great battle, actually, isn't it?
Inception, the dialogue is only I don't want to say driving, but the dialogue's purpose is to help explain what the fuck's going on.
It's like a narration.
Yeah.
It's a character.
It's the other
my
character.
favorite character tonight is the explanation. I really like the explanation. I thought he was profound.
Hey, since we are bringing characters back, I do want to give a shout out to one more character. Sorry. Hey, fucking Tom Berenger as Browning took me by surprise. I did not know Berenger was in this movie. I forgot about that. And I'm a big Tom Berenger fan, the word man. And hey, he was awesome in this role. Just kind of I don't know, and you know, just kind of played that part to a T. I loved it.
You must be a good-looking guy.
Thank you for having that on deck. I appreciate that.
I regret not seeing that movie in the theater for the first time. I only saw that at home, and that was a dumb move.
A Nolan, you have
really
to go
bad.
to every Nolan
really
film.
Dumb.
Have to.
Yeah, from here on out, that's the rule.
So I don't know,
see
man.
Tenet. Not good movie.
Yeah, we've said that. I don't, yeah.
Is it straight up not good? Is that really what we're saying? Is that what people?
It's
right.
not good in the way that I think Inception wasn't good.
Folks, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have the rest of our thread members watch it, and we're gonna have a Tenet episode because we love Christopher
I'm down
Nolan.
for that.
Coming soon. We're gonna have a Tenet episode, but until then, I want to talk about memorabilia, and it is going back to the film that has swept like all the categories. We're going to Boys in the Hood. Trey's necklace is fucking fire. Beware.
To the studio next time, and Trey's blue Beetle, drop top Beetle.
Love that.
The bug.
Hey, I'll go. Hey, first, before I make my decision, I gotta ask, what's in the pacifier?
I think it's just an oral fixation.
I think he's just
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
I thought there was something in the pacifier because he like offers it to Homeboy at one point. Like, you want some of this? I thought, but no.
He does that? That's weird.
When he's on the stairs.
I never noticed that.
Okay.
PCP, cigarettes dipped. You can probably dip stuff in PCP. It could be that. That's a West Coast.
That thing, pretty gnarly. Hey, but I am actually to go with bringing it back to Furious Styles. Those they're called Baoding balls. Those
I asked how to pronounce that today, Doc. So
hey,
thank you.
I have it up on my computer right now of how to pronounce it. So that's making sure I get it correct. But I actually bought a pair of those when I visited New York years ago, probably more than 10 years ago, and bought them in Chinatown. And I don't know what happened to them. I was telling Amy, but I love those things, man. It's about kind of meditation. It's about just kind of something to do, kind of being mindful. And I love the scenes that he uses them in because they're kind of particularly tense scenes. And it's like you can tell he's trying to.
Yeah, when he's on the way to the kill. Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't take your item. I love that. I had that wrote down.
I always thought because of Blink-182 that they were actually called Benoit balls, but I remember that being like a song and thinking that's exactly what those were. As far as my favorite memorabilia that I'd like to own, it would have been Doughboy's 63 Impala. Barnum.
Oh yeah, that's a better choice.
Damn, with the switches in it. Good choice. God, I don't think big enough. Cap.
I guess I'll just say I was gonna say that I couldn't name the
pacifier. You were gonna say the pacifier with the
no,
PCP
I
in
wasn't
it?
gonna fucking say the pacifier. I guess I'll dip into like Doughboys.
PCP, right? You'll dip into...
Never mind.
No, I love you, Cap.
I'll dip into Doughboy's hat collection and wardrobe in general.
Yeah, you get a nice Detroit fitted for that. Oh no, Chicago. I'm sorry, it's Chicago.
No, it's Detroit.
Oh, he rocks Detroit, Chicago.
And he's got that faded MJ Beat It shirt.
He's got the that shirt from the beginning of the movie that would probably fit me now. That striped shirt that he's wearing at the beginning.
Hey, another throwback to Stand By Me. Fat kid wearing the striped shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. Doc, this is the type of night, or the time of the night, sorry, the type of night too, where I like to go to the doc and I like to wonder about awards because I have no idea other than Inception is up for something, but I would imagine, if I had to guess, there's no way Boys in the Hood didn't get something for this. Is my prediction right, Doc?
All right. So you're pretty close, man. So Boys in the Hood, 91, Academy Awards, 92. They had 2 nominations, 92, man, for Best Director, John Singleton. And with that, he was the youngest director to be nominated for an Academy Award. So pretty big. And then also
rest in peace, John Singleton.
R.I.P., man. It's crazy. This was his first movie. And this was, he follows it up with.
See, that's fucking impressive. Yeah, that's impressive.
So yeah, he follows this movie up with Poetic Justice, then Higher Learning. And then he goes on and does like Shaft, Baby Boy, Four Brothers. He does like a Fast and the Furious movie. Directs some Michael Jackson videos, directs some Empire. So again, he got nominated. He actually lost to Jonathan, is it Demme from Silence of the Lambs? How you pronounce it? Yeah. So this year was nuts, man. 1992. So he also was nominated for Best Screenplay. It was him that wrote it, but didn't win. This year, movie year, I just got to give this a nod because this is insane. 1992 Academy Awards. These are some of the movies that were up for awards this year. So I already said Silence of the Lambs, Terminator 2, JFK, Backdraft, Thelma and Louise, Barton Fink, Cape Fear, The Fisher King, Hook, Fried Green Tomatoes, Bugsy, Beauty and the Beast. Like that's like 90s movies to me when I hear that.
Hook was nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And
wait,
so weird.
For real?
What?
No.
Oh, Jesus. I was like,
so
I
there's
thought I
just
missed
some
something.
movies that came out in 1990.
It's one of my favorites.
So Hook was nominated for a couple different things. I can actually.
It's one of my favorites.
Run home, Jack.
Come
but
on.
See
that on a cult classic list.
It's a child's movie.
Yeah, it was nominated for some aspect. Because I wouldn't have seen it otherwise. So I was looking at the nominees. But hey, Beauty and the Beast was actually in the running for Best Picture, which is kind of crazy. Isn't that funny?
I just watched that today, which is kind of a crazy coincidence as well.
Oh my God.
Beauty and the Beast.
All right, so it didn't win for any of those, but it did win top prize at Sundance when it was featured, and at Cannes, which is the first time this movie was ever featured or unveiled, the Cannes Film Festival. It had a standing ovation for over 20 minutes. And so people here were freaking out. And also Roger Ebert was seen crying at Cannes after this movie. Roger Ebert is a huge fan of Boyz n the Hood. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. All right.
Very interesting.
Yep. All right, moving on to Inception. 8 nominations. 8 Academy Award nominations. It was nominated for Best Motion Picture, Best Writing Original Screenplay, Best Achievement in Music, Hans Zimmer, Best Achievement in Art Direction, Best Achievement in Cinematography, Best Achievement in Sound Mixing, Best Achievement in Sound Editing, Best Achievement in Visual Effects. So 8 nominations. It actually won 4 for Best Cinematography, Sound Mixing, Sound Editing, and Visual Effects.
Also, Best Character, Visual Effects.
Yeah. Best Character won. And
Sound characters, special effect character. He's got some good characters out there. He always uses Leo. He uses his special effect character, and he uses his sound character, and they're all great.
And Hans Zimmer, whatever the.
No, that is. I mean, he's the man. He's the man.
And Michael Caine.
All the credits or the
Sauce of the
backgrounds.
grapefruit.
It's that time of the night, folks, where we gotta vote. We gotta pick our favorite. And I swear to God to you, this podcast has showed me the obvious. All these quotables, all these scenes, all these characters, all my guys showing me the things that I missed, or is like shed light on all the stuff I loved about it. And it really is a great film. And even Savage, coming out in the thread early, he's breaking that rule of thumb not to do in the future. To say you might not like something. I'm sure I have to go to Savage, and I bet he likes it more. But my vote is for Boyz n the Hood, folks. It's obvious. This podcast episode made me love this movie even more. It's really great. Inception, fantastic. I don't need to tell you the reasons why it is. We've explained it. Savage, do you like this film more after hearing a bunch of your gutties talk about it?
Like I said before, I never said I didn't like it. It was just that I didn't think it was great at the point of time that I was viewing it. I don't like Inception. I never really liked that movie. I only saw it once. I thought it was confusing for the sake of being confusing. And also I can't get the name right. I've been referring to it as Atonement all week. When Jess was asking me what movie we were watching.
It's too much.
I kept saying Interstellar, and Amy was like, "We watched it."
Hey, spin your topples, boys. Make sure we're still in reality.
And like we talked about dreams before, and I've talked about how, like, when we watched The Sopranos, like the dream sequences, the Tony Soprano dream sequences were always like my least favorite part. I've never really enjoyed dream sequences.
Don't take Beware there.
I know. I'm just saying that's just how I am. That's how so I think by default, my vote is going to be for Boyz n the Hood. But I did like Boyz n the Hood better than I think I'm getting credit for. I think it was a good movie. I don't think it was there's some throwing around Training Day a little bit in the thread. Training Day is miles worse than this movie, and I would say the Boyz n the Hood is 1,000 times better than Training Day, which I think is fair. Also, I think I want to throw a couple of things in that I wasn't able to say. I think Dr. Dre was a better actor in Training Day than Cube was in Boyz n the Hood. I just thought that was kind of an interesting thing that I thought. Even though his part wasn't that big, but I thought he was a little bit more convincing.
I wholeheartedly disagree with that.
A horrible call.
Fine. Good. And then the other thing too,
boys,
I just thought Trey was bad in it. Like I thought Trey was the worst.
We've learned that different
Fair.
opinions are good.
Fair. Also, I think it speaks volumes that we had a matchup that had Leonardo DiCaprio and we hardly said his name. I think that speaks.
Crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I mean, he can win this matchup if we were talking about Leonardo DiCaprio a bit more. I mean, that's just how it works with him.
I feel like his character went deep, but ultimately it was kind of like a shallow.
Right. I mean, it's just fine. He's a good actor.
I hope we didn't go here. No, this is a vulnerable Leo movie. He's voning this.
I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt's better.
I agree.
No, you're probably right. I think they play on each other's level. I think it's really Tom Hardy that steps over them is what is
I want to
really
say
the important part. But we've said all this.
I want to say one more thing about Boyz n the Hood too. I felt like, and I don't know, like I love that you said that Doc said the thing about Stand By Me, because I thought that was very apparent. The other one would be, it seemed like it was like an opera or like Shakespeare or something, like where it was like a retelling.
I thought the exact same thing.
Great call.
Where it seems like it's something else, and this is like a metaphor for like something else, and this is just like kind of like a retelling in like a modern way. So I think that is a good thing. So my vote's for Boys in the Hood.
I'll vote for Boys in the Hood with no explanation. It's a quick vote.
So I'm surprised that Savage didn't bring up that Kobayashi was in Inception.
Yeah, you're right. I like picking up the people that we've seen in other movies too. Yeah, I guess I wish I would have. I didn't even have that in my notes, but good call.
Pete Postlethwaite. Is that
yeah, Peter Postlethwaite.
Yeah, was the Maurice Fisher. That's a character that appeared in Usual Suspects and was kind of a fan favorite that we spent some time talking about. But I kind of agree with what everybody's saying. I'm not going to spend too much time. But Inception, it was fun to watch. I do agree that it was kind of overly complicated. I feel like they could have done a little bit more to kind of help the viewer along, unless they were purposefully trying to be confusing and disorienting, which is whatever. But it was a unique way to tell a story, and nobody's ever told a story that way. And it was a fun kind of playground to set up and to tell a story.
Visually stunning.
Visually stunning, and the acting was fun. And
Doc, we might have been the only people that watched the South Park episode, but if you watched it,
I've definitely seen that episode.
Damn your incongruities.
Wait, if those people got stuck in there, why wouldn't we? It's very simple. You see, when the dream experts go in, they attempt to take the subject to a dream within a dream. Like a taco within a taco? A double-decker taco supreme. Exactly. But only dream spies have the ability to go deeper into dream levels, and firemen have the ability to bring ladders into other people's dreams. Wait, whoa. How could you take a ladder into a dream?
Oh, this is so complex and trippy and cool. And
I was watching it thinking it was going to have more like meaning to Inception, but it was like not like Inception at all. And it was like kind of loosely alluding to it, but then they just had a lot of digs thrown at it too, which I thought was kind of funny.
They digged it out. No, they showed its vulnerability, and I recommend.
Has anybody ever seen Don't Be a Menace? Your Juice in the Hood. Yeah. Okay. I just thought of that. It surprised me that didn't come up at all.
So since you mentioned that, let me look this up real quick. So this was something I wanted to fact check real quick. But is Doughboy and Ricky's mom, is that a Wayne's?
No, I looked that up as we were doing this. I have Kim Wayne's on a Wikipedia tab right now.
That's not her.
It is. She's excellent.
Yeah,
it's Tyra Farrell.
Okay.
Tyra Farrell. Please go ahead. Yeah, she gets all the flowers. She's excellent.
Yeah, she's fantastic. But yeah, so like this was a movie designed to not have a lot of high-end actors, and I feel like they pulled it off. They accomplished it. Boys in the Hood, that is. And I've already kind of I've already said a lot of what I had to say about this movie, and we don't really need to go into too much detail. One of the things that I did want to say is that this movie is actually recognized by the Library of Congress, and it's been entered into the National Film Registry at the Library of Congress. So it is forever etched in our culture, our history, and recognized as one of the greatest movies kind of our time. And I think that kind of speaks for itself. And I got to go with Boys in the Hood.
Man, maybe I was the only one that was undecided throughout the whole process, but Inception it's a beautiful film. If you ask somebody maybe a little younger than yourself, us being all in our mid-30s, you'll see somebody last night, Beware, and I were within a studio session, said, yeah, Inception's like my favorite, the best movie of all time. And it has that effect, and it belongs in that list. But Beware, did you ever think Inception might be Boys in the Hood? I guess I would guess not, maybe.
I guess I definitely, it's got way more cachet, and I guess to two younger generations or within recent years, IMDb favors it by over a full point, which is crazy. And to me, like especially these days, especially when I have less time, I go to the movies to be entertained a lot more often than not. But ultimately, at my core, that's not why I like movies. I don't like movies and appreciate movies because of the entertainment value. I appreciate them because they teach me something, or it's just so well done, and I can really appreciate the value and the creativity and the attention to detail put into movies. And I
In the
think
same sense, I think that's why I like movies too. If a movie can make you feel something, and like I was surprised, but like Boyz in the Hood got me for like the 100th time.
Well, I mean,
hey, sweep.
A fucking sweep. Wow. It goes to the next round, and we'll see how great it is. It's became much more greater through this episode right here with my discussants in our thread.
Do we know what Boyz in the Hood is going to face, or do we not?
Savage is going to look that up while we go to the hat. Hit him with the hat song.
It's a hat, it's a hat, it's a teddy, it's a hat.
Let's go to the hat. Let's go to the hat. Let's go to the hat. Let's go to the.
Take your hat off.
Excuse me?
Let's go to the hat. Let's go to the hat. Let's go to the.
It's a hat, it's a hat, it's a hat.
The place.
Oh, Inception.
Up right now. It's right side up. Hold on one second. I am pulling it.
It's really small.
Okay. So Boyz in the Hood goes up against the winner of 12 Monkeys or Jurassic Park.
Wow.
So,
Wow, that's good actually.
That's a really
good.
good one. I like that a lot.
I'm really happy it's not American History X. We'll just put it that way.
All right. I got to say this.
I'm not looking forward to watching that again. Or
yeah, I'm not looking forward to watching
the heroin movie.
Requiem.
Oh, Requiem for a Dream.
Hey, well, then we're going to talk about Mulligans.
I kind of
Doc
swore I would never watch that movie again, but I guess I have to.
I think we still have. We got one mulligan. Doc is there, going to save us with one movie. But right now, I actually have one in my hand. I'm going to guess and actually hope. Like I swear that this isn't rigged, but I've been wanting to watch Jurassic Park, and I feel like that one hasn't came up yet. I have a small one in my hand right now. I can feel it when I picked it up. I think it's left side of the bracket. I'm going to look at it now, folks. It is upside down.
Left side is so exotic. Left side is so exotic. Or no, right side is.
Right side.
Oh boy, I was not right with my prediction, but we were just talking about. I don't even know. I'm just gonna say it. I don't got R.L. Stein's American History X
versus Forrest Gump.
Versus Forrest Gump. Now. Are we just gonna Savage? Oh, you hate Forrest Gump?
No, I don't hate Forrest Gump. I hate this matchup. I don't want to watch American History X.
Well, there's only one hope for us, and that is the doc. But then you're gonna have to watch Requiem for a Dream. So either way, these movies, hey, Requiem for a Dream fucked this up though.
I think
maybe the most savage scene in any movie. American History X.
Oh yeah.
Let's just talk about it now, so we don't have to talk about it in 2 weeks.
As much as I want to not watch American History X, I think it'll actually be good for us.
Yeah.
Edward Norton, man, had a big part to do it. A big part of that movie. He wanted to make sure it was portrayed the right way, and it's fucking great.
I couldn't believe how big he got for that movie.
He's jacked. That swastika's just bald.
Savage.
Hey,
hold on a second.
Coming up. Only when he covers it up in the mirror is it Best Buy. When he covers up the swastika.
Worst spot.
Mike, didn't you have the poster for this movie in your room?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Might have been one of them. I had a bunch of movie posters. I really liked that movie. I remember. I probably did.
Hey, but ladies and gentlemen, nobody spoke the magic word because there's only one person that can speak it, and that's the doc. We're going to watch American History X and Forrest Gump, and shout out to fucking Forrest Gump on the intro to the Beware music that I'm gonna play right now. We'll see you next week.
I'm excited to watch Forrest Gump. I haven't seen that movie in fucking forever.
Forrest Gump's a great movie.
I can't help it. I love you.
Forrest, you don't know what love is.
I'm not going to debate you, Jerry. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and debate.
You're a bald-faced liar. fucking liar.
I mean, God forbid they should make a mistake and forget to steal.
I will not apologize for what I want.
Stop trying to control everything and just let go.
I drink it up. Don't bully me.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
They're okay. Either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood.
Hold on to your butts.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Our Thread Podcast, bringing our content to you, featuring all it is.
It's official, old buddy. Well, has been.
Beware.
From then on, he was known as Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
The Doc.
You're the doc, Doc.
The Cap.
If you already know the answers to your questions, then why ask? Big fuck.
And myself, Savage.
I'm 6'5", 220, and there's two of them.